Excellent. I believe we are recording, and we're going to get started. We cram a lot into this half hour as we go through two teams that are moving really fast. So thanks for joining. This is the sprint demo for our 12th sprint this year. This is the Evernym team working on Hyperledger Indy, on Indy, the Indy Node, the server portion, as well as Indy SDK, the libindy that's used for writing applications that work with that server. So the goal for this sprint.
Hi, this is Daniel joining the call.
Hey Daniel, thanks for joining. So on Indy Node, we've been working on our release of 1.4. This is a backwards incompatible release. It has changes to the database layer, as well as changes to transaction formats and encryption formats. And we've been trying to get this out the door, and we've got a release candidate we're currently testing. We will let people know when we have an official release date. It's going to take some time to go through system level tests and testing on the sovereign network as it gets ready for people to use. On Indy SDK, on libindy, the goal for this release is also, the goal for this sprint was also to work on a release. The 1.5 release, this is the one that's compatible with the Indy Node 1.4. It contains a new wallet as well as correctly consumes the new transaction format and encryption stuff. This release is a little delayed. We need to get some final approvals. We do expect it to go out fairly quickly, but it's not going to make it this week. And there are two APIs in here that we've implemented, but we're not exactly confident in. So it might be considered experimental, and that's the export import and some of the payment stuff. If somebody wants to plug in their own implementation of a payment system to be able to purchase credentials, that API, there's been some feedback on how to improve that. So our expectation is to mark these as experimental, get the release out, and get more feedback, and then decide what we're going to do about those APIs. We do expect to do monthly releases, so we want to get this release out in the next few, 5 days or so, and then we'll start working on the July release. So with that bit of a background, I'm going to let Nikita share his screen, and he's going to show us what's currently implemented with all import-export. Then Slava will show us how the protocol versions differ between Node version 1 that works with the old versions of Indy Node and version 2 that works with the new versions of Indy Node. Then Alex will show us the improvements to how ViewChange happens on Indy Node, which should significantly improve stability. And Olga and her team has been working on scripts to stress the network, and she's going to show us some of those scripts. This is what we're testing to get confidence that we're ready to put long-term durable information on here and really start using it in production. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll let Nikita share his screen.
11:29, buddy. Alrighty.
I didn't hear, somebody said something, but it seemed kind of muffled.
I think Kelly needs to go on mute.
Картинка есть?
Okay.
Okay, guys. Do you have a picture?
Yep, and we can hear you good too, Nikita.
Okay. We integrated import-export code from wallet command. We add this functionality in API in all our wrappers and also in CLI. So I show you how it works in CLI. We have two clients. Top window, it's Windows hosted, and bottom window is Linux hosted. In Linux, we have a wallet with some deeds. And now we try to move it to Windows machine. We open certain wallet that contains deeds, and next we run command wallet export, where we must describe export path for output file and export key for encryption. And we have a encrypted binary file. And now we try to open it from another machine. As you see, there is no wallets in this instance. So we run command wallet import, and we need to set name for our wallet. Key that we used in previous situation. And we need to set key for decryption. And we need to also to set up full name. And now we open this wallet. There is some real misunderstanding with mandatory parameters. Okay, name. Voila.
That's awesome, guys.
Awesome.
Good
Quick-
demo.
Quick question that I also asked another team yesterday. What happens if there is an existing wallet? Does it throw a message saying there's already a wallet there, or what happens if there is already a wallet?
Could you repeat the question, please?
So when you go to import the wallet, if there is already an existing wallet that's there, what happens?
When you import wallet, you always create new wallet. You can create two separate wallets which would be absolutely similar. For example, right now we can create two wallets and fill them with deeds with certain seeds.
Yeah.
Can you
Okay,
just
I can
run your wallet import command right now? I want to see what happens.
You can just look to history, Nikita. Yeah, it says that wallet already exists.
Well, okay. But if you have a different name for that import, does it just create a second wallet?
Yeah, import is always creating a new wallet from scratch. It is impossible to add data to existing wallet.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Good job, you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Any other questions?
That was a well thought through demo, Nikita. Thanks for. That was well set up. We should let Slava. We got to keep moving on. Got a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah. Hello.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, I will try to share my screen. Could you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, one of big tasks in current sprint was support of breaking changes in Indy Node 1.4 by libindy. We follow the following approach. Indy Node has concept of protocol version, and Indy Node 1.3 actually supports protocol version version 1, and Indy Node 1.4 will support new protocol version 2. And libindy 1.5 will support both protocol versions 1 and protocol versions 2. But sure, you can use one version only with Indy Node 1.3 and two version with 1.5. In the future, when, for example, any breaking changes to Indy Node will be introduced, we plan to introduce new protocol version, but Indy Node will support all previous protocol versions until we've done some deprecation process of previous versions. So, for example, next protocol version can be 3, but Indy Node will support protocol version 2 for significant time and protocol version 3 as a result. And it will cause that libindy and should have some way to select protocol version to work. And it was implemented. libindy 1.5 will introduce a new endpoint that it's called Indy set protocol version. And actually, this endpoint consumes one param. It's protocol versions as integer. And for now, you can pass 1 and 2, actually. This endpoint also was added to all wrappers, and Indy CLI now supports selection of protocol version for Indy Node. I can just show you how it's done. Oh, sorry. If we can look to pull open, pull connect param help, say was added new parameter that's called protocol version. And when you perform connecting to pool, you can select protocol version to use. And Indy CLI can work with both protocol versions, and it can pass all result returned from the ledger in a correct way for both protocol version 1 and for protocol version 2. By default, Indy CLI will support protocol version 2. And actually, it is different because libindy by default will support for current release version 1. And also, during this release, we will start deprecation of this supporting of protocol version 1. Yeah, I can just show how it works. For example, we can create a pool configuration. Yeah, and we can try to connect to just create a pool with protocol version 1. And libindy checks versions that pool supports and shows the error that this pool doesn't support protocol version 1. And if we connect to protocol version 2, it connects and we can send any transaction in. Oh. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, and Indy pool will return this result. Exactly the same when we connect to pools that supports only version 1, corresponded error will show. And the only thing that user should know is that explicit definition of protocol version in pool connect command. So I believe that's all. I am open for questions.
I'm curious to know, Slava, did you like this mechanism now that you've used it once? Do you feel like the protocol version and a set protocol version call that's kind of global to the whole library is the right way to do things? I'm wondering because it feels a little bit confining to say that all interactions in the library are going to use the same protocol version. I would think you would want to be able to talk to pool A using protocol version 1 and pool B using protocol version 2.
Actually, it is impossible without breaking changes in libindy API. And also we considered this, but there is some significant problem. The main problem is that we use concept of request builders, and these request builders for now don't know anything about pool, and they don't have direct connection to the pool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a pragmatic answer, but it's not a theoretical answer.
Yeah, actually, it can be better to in the future support protocol version per pool request, but the main problem is that it is in this case application should support the whole pool versions, and it is a problem. And
yeah.
The other thing to point out here is it seems like talking to more than one pool is very much an edge case. It's not something that will happen very commonly, except for in certain development environments.
Yeah, and it's why we switch it this way. Because for real application, it will be very strange to support different protocol versions at all and maintain two versions of the code that will contain different, for example, code for parsing of transaction from the ledger.
How long do you imagine this particular feature being active? That is, in the next version of the SDK, are you going to say, well, this particular one only supports, a new pool, so set protocol version doesn't actually do anything useful?
So our transition from 1 to 2 is going to be fairly quick, but in the future, we'd like to have longer deprecation periods, so it'll be used for a longer period of time.
Yeah, the current idea is that, for example, when we will introduce version 3 of this protocol, Indy will support the lowest supported version by default. And for application can update without any problems to newest libindy and still use the oldest protocol version for the whole deprecation period.
Yes, that Indy Node should support both versions in this case.
Yeah.
So this is the only situation when we have to explicitly call this protocol version, because this is a breaking change. In future, Indy Node will support all protocol versions. Indy SDK can support the lowest protocol version by default, but of course applications who are ready to switch to the newer version can do this migration process in parallel and set the new protocol version if they like. And once the deprecation period is finished, we say, well, yes, Indy SDK by default now supports a higher protocol version. So all applications are hopefully already switched to this version by that time.
Yeah, but in my vision, application should call this set protocol version explicitly in the beginning. And because otherwise, for example, update can just break application if some we will.
Because after a deprecation period, we'll release Indy Node supporting multiple protocols. We'll have Indy SDK start with the old one as the default, and after deprecation period, we'll move it to the new one being the default to move the community through. Now we have to move on to the next topic. We are running out of time, so we can continue this conversation after the demo.
Good work, by the way, Slava. Thank you.
Okay, so the next demo is from Indy Node team. The first demo here is a stability issue related to catch-up and ViewChange that we investigated. This is kind of a collaborative work of the team. So let me just show how we found this issue, what is the issue, what are the tests, and how it's fixed. In the scope of our hardening epic, we are continuously running load testing. And one of the tests that we executed was continuous view changes. Continuous view changes like every 10 minutes. And we did this test to prove that the pool can survive continuous view changes. And while running this test, we found an issue that on one of the nodes, the state of the ledger got out of sync with the pool. So thanks to our QA team who did this testing, and then thanks to Sergey K and Nikita who researched, found the cause of this issue. And the issue, well, the cause of the issue described on this sequence diagram is that as the catch-up is part of ViewChange in the current protocol, it is possible that sometimes ViewChange may cancel catch-up which is not yet finished. So let me just very quickly go through this diagram. So on node A, we have a catch-up process for view X in progress, and the catch-up, it is possible that catch-up might take quite a lot of time if some of the nodes are slow. So the catch-up was about adding 100 transactions from one 3PC batch, and as a result of catch-up, only 5 transactions were added. The next transactions were still in progress, waiting for replies from other nodes. And also for the same batch, we got a quorum of commit messages, so we were able to order it even without catch-up. And also on other nodes, one of the next few changes was finished. It's okay because the protocol is synchronous. And these nodes sent ViewChange done message to our node for the next view number. And the previous logic just started ViewChange without waiting for the previous catch-up to be finished. And so it canceled previous catch-up, but as a result of previous catch-up, only 5 of expected 10 or 100 transactions were applied. And when it tried to apply its stashed audit request, the same 5 transactions were reapplied again, which led to incorrect ledger. And there is also another similar thing that during initialization of the node, we also start catch-up, and then we propagate the current state of the pool. That is the current view number and the current primary, which is actually a view change. And here, 2 catch-ups are interleaved together, which is, well, it doesn't it may not cause any explicit issues, but at least it's not so trivial, and 2 catch-ups are not run expectedly. So there are tests. That show these 2 issues. The first test is about view change happening during catch-up. So there are 4 parameters, different states for catch-up. The pool can be as a starting, discovering that this pool ledger is caught up, discovered, and syncing. And we make sure that in every of these states, view change will not happen until catch-up is finished. So you can see when mode is like this, no view change happens. The view number is still the same. But if catch-up is finished, the state is participating, then view change is finished, and we go to the next view. This is a test for the first described issue. And for the second issue, this is also a test that if the node is lagging behind and view change happened for the next for the next few number. Then and propagate it to this node. Again, no catch-up. No ViewChange happens until catch-up is finished. So once it's finished, it happens. So these diagrams show the fix in green. So the fix is quite simple. So let's just not start the next ViewChange until the catch-up is finished. The catch-up is kind of atomic operation in terms of the full workflow. So we need to make sure that if we start catching up a batch of requests, all transactions from this batch must be caught up and must be added to the ledger. Otherwise, there can be problems like this. So you can see that these green items describe the situation. And you can see the tests are green, but if you just disable the fix, the test will start failing. So while the tests are executing, just to save the time, will be happy to for any questions.
That's a great demo. Thank you.
So you can see tests are failing, and if we enable the fix, the test starts green.
Our confidence in Ledger going up every sprint as we identify these edge cases and clean them up.
So, Alex, how does this influence your confidence in the overall stability? How does this set of work, this fix?
I think this was a good work from the team to finding out this issue, to run the tests against this issue. Of course, it increases my confidence, but we expect, of course, more testing, more hardening to make sure that there are no other issues. So this is one of the issues we applied in the scope of so-called simple ViewChange fixes without implementing the full PBFT protocol.
Now we're almost at the 30-minute mark where people are going to have to drop. So I'll let you say one thing, Kelly, and then we got to get to our next demo.
I was just going to say, I think it's awesome because these are the kinds of things that are hard to find just doing it manually through the testing effort we've done. So this is awesome.
Very good. Thank you for that, Alex. Let's move on to the last demo, to Olga.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Probably you can see my screen.
It was there for a second.
No, we cannot.
Can you reshare?
Looks like I have the same problems with Zoom as in my previous demo. Sorry for that.
That's a shame. It was.
I also see the same black screen. And could you please stop my sharing screen or kick me from meeting?
So we're out of time. So let's just, so this demo was going to talk about the load testing tools, and we will make sure to show that in another venue or publish a recording of it so people have that information. So thank you, Olga, for preparing. We will get this shared with people because I know there's a lot of interest in these load testing scripts. And let's end the meeting because we've all got another meeting to go to.
Thank you, everybody. This is awesome stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I should mention, so for the next sprints, we're going to get these 2 releases out the door and continue stability fixes for future. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.